Built HellTaco build series. We are obviously not at Stellar Built anymore. We are at the Meso HQ doing the reassembly on the HellTaco. So we'll kind of walk you through some things that we've done here. Engine has been in, headers are being fabricated, cooling system is in place. We're building out the structure for the fiberglass. That is hood, bed sides. As you can tell over here, the one-piece clip has been molded, substructure installed, and we're doing no visible hardware. You see there's no fender washers or visible bolts. It's all mounted underneath. So flipping this hood around, you can see the substructure that we designed. This will give a solid rigid mounting plate for the fiberglass, but also no visible hardware. So we laser cut out plates.
You're really nailing that no visible hardware, huh?
It's something about I don't want to see a bunch of bolts bolted everywhere. You know, if you're really running the Baja and you want that thing to stay on, that is the strongest way. But this is more, like I said,
street truck.
So these have been 3M panel bonded into the fiberglass with holes so it can really adhere well. TIG welded plates with 4130 chrome ollie. This is 095 wall, so give it rigid but still lightweight, and this will tie into the main hoop bumper. And it's mounted on nylon bushings so they can kind of take up some vibration on the hood. So we took the TRD Pro hood vents, removed it, and I 3D printed some inserts and took the TRX, since it has a TRX engine, the 6.2 liter supercharged badge, which someone walking by wouldn't know the difference. I wanted to look OEM as possible. So coming back over to the truck here, all of the tube frame front half has been coated. We still have to powder coat some other parts. We've rhino lined the under tray, the firewall, and the whole back half, the cab. The rest of the cab and the interior roll cage has been painted, thanks to Stan over at Roseville Collision, in the Lunar Rock. That will be the new color that this truck is going to be.
Lunar Rock everything for you.
Lunar Rock the world. We've got the headliner inserts installed. They are Alcantara suede with starlight inside of them, so once we get this thing fired up, it'll be a nice little touch. The dash is still in mock-up phase. This is a carbon fiber shell with some billet accents to hold the switch controller, the gauges, and the nav display. And then it will have Alcantara on top. Dynamat and some finishing touches on the back half. Working over here, we've, same as the front, it's been painted, Raptor lined. The cooling system is in place. That is the transmission oil cooler and the engine oil cooler made by CBR. Fuel cell is in, fuel pump, and all the lines. Here's a cool little feature that we're adding. These are 3D printed metal. So I designed these to fit in there.
Whoa. 3D printed metal.
3D printed out of 3/16 stainless. So designed them in CAD, had them printed out, and then TIG welded to the bars. These will hold the Baja designs, rear facing S1s off to the side, and a IR facing rear.
Now is that like a new thing, or has that been around?
3D printing metal has been around, but to a normal person, it's been pretty pricey. And over the past couple years, it's become a little bit more mainstream and obtainable for the average person to print. So, yeah, it's a cool little. You wouldn't notice it; it's all painted together and blended in. But for someone that can see the detail, that's what that's made out of.
Yeah, that's true.
And working over to the back, we're getting our cooling inserts and grills just to help protect and also get some airflow into those radiators. These are all laser cut. And no, I didn't want any hardware. They'll be powder coated, this cool bronze color, which you'll see once we get over to the suspension components.
So you're really going for this no hardware exposed.
No hardware. I like it just, clean, simple, and elegant. So what we did, we welded tabs on the back side and have some threaded nylon. So this will all bolt from the back, TIG welded the grill in, and then once it's powder coated, it'll just look like it's floating in there.
Yeah, I'm a sucker for a nice mesh. Nice.
Yeah, this is a stainless hex, pretty thick and durable. Then the exhaust will obviously come through here and out the back. But now after this is coated, you can it really showcases CJ's welding at Stellar. I mean, he did a phenomenal job. We tried to keep that going throughout the whole style and really nice lines, everything crisp. Yes, it'll go through the desert. Yes, it'll start getting beat on, but at least right now it'll be clean for SEMA.
For SEMA. And just for the viewers, it is now what, like?
So we've got D-Day 2 months, give or take. So this month we'll be wiring, plumbing, get this thing fired up, and then the last month will be all the body, you know, front clip, rear bed sides, getting the exhaust finalized, and then do a little bit of test and tune before we bring it out there. So coming up over to here, switching gears, that's something you've never seen before. That is a concept that I came up with. After I cut the grill for high clearance, we were left with this section that would have been thrown in the trash. Just kind of throwing it around, I put it up on top of the cab, and it ended up fitting the exact width of the cab, the curvature of the glass, and I decided to make an aluminum panel that has been press braked at 15 degrees every corner, wrapped in the multicam, because that's this theme, multicam and lunar, and then Baja Designs bracket underneath that we fabricated. So I wanted a slim, clean, not obtrusive light bar. Yeah, it's not bright if we put some LP9s or LP6s up there, but this is really form over function. It'll still be bright, and we'll have some front end lighting too, but something that's very unique, and that's the whole concept behind this build. Unique, think outside the box, never really been done, and this really fits the bill. And then coming over here, we're pretty packed in the engine bay. We're getting our fuel pressure regulator system in. We're getting our supercharger coolant lines in. Working on the power steering cooler, heat exchangers. Everything is basically one-off custom on this thing. From the radiator pipes that have been TIG welded titanium, all the way to the custom headers, which we're working on right now. This brings back into that 3D printing. So we have round primary tubes, but D-shaped ports on our head. So in order to adapt that D to round, I designed and had 3D printed Meso collector adapters that snap right in, TIG welded, and that brings us a nice, smooth transition. No port and polishing needed.
And no interruption of the flow.
Yep. So now it's just a matter of getting these stuffed in there, and then we can work on our V-band all the way back.
Yeah, I heard it's pretty tight.
It is pretty tight. Let me show you one other thing for the exhaust system. Shout out to Formula Z. So we're running dual 3-inch exhausts on this. So 2-inch primaries, 2-inch primaries to a dual 3. Most people run an X pipe or an H pipe, which those work, they've been proven. This is the future right here. This is 3D printed.
Whoa.
Z pipe. So now you have our dual 3s that come through, a crossover, and a pass through. These actually have been proven to increase even more horsepower of an X pipe, increase the sound, and this is just going to fit this whole build with 3D printing and using technology to your advantage.
I want to hear what that sounds like.
Yeah,
I've
wild.
never seen that. Whoa, let me see inside. Wow. 3D printed. And I'm kind of surprised. So this holds up to the heat coming straight from the head.
It's made out of 3/16 stainless. It's sintered at a higher temperature than this will ever get to. So, yeah, welding's fine. You can even tell once it's been welded. There's a couple manufacturers, Koenigsegg, their exhaust is actually 3D printed. A couple other guys out there that have done this. So we'll see how it holds up. You know, if it doesn't, we'll go back to the drawing board. But that's this is an experiment. This whole truck is throw whatever you got at it and see if it sticks.
Well, I know you've already showed us a handful of tricks, so I'm excited to see the rest of the little goodies you have up your sleeve. Billet valve covers?
Billet valve covers. So between the 3D print and I'm trying to run a lot of billet stuff on here, just, you know, eye candy on this. Yeah, it's came quite a way since we've seen it.
I know, right? It's not a lot of time.
A month.
A month.
1 month, and we've got paint, body, you know, plumbing. Just got to get to wiring in a little bit, but we're on schedule. It's going to be tight, but we'll have it done. So now we've gone through front to back of the status of the build. We're going to walk over to the next bay to have all the suspension. CJ's on his way over actually right now, so we can start reassembly of the axle, radius arms, and all of the beams.
Everything's powder coated and ready?
Yeah, everything's powder coated. Just go on over there and check it out. So this is a dark bronze by Prismatic Powders. It almost looks black in some spots, but when the light hits it, it'll really show off the shine. We've got our Curry rear end, traction bars, radius arms, steering linkage. tie rods, the whole works. So we've got our vehicle here in CAD. This is the whole front clip assembly. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna pivot this on the axis. So it's gonna pivot on the lower support and come all the way forward. We'll have a limit strap in there obviously, but it'll give you the idea on the articulation. So we'll have a half fender here that will have some locating.
Like a little trim.
And some locating nubs to keep it aligned.
Yeah, yeah.
And everything comes forward. From grill to lights to hood.
So it'll have a harness tucked under there somewhere.
Yeah, all of the wiring will have a little short
really
leash in there, and then it'll flip forward.
That's super cool.
Yeah, something that I've never seen done on a Tacoma or a Tundra, really.
And all this to do in under 2 months.
Yeah, luckily the molds are done, which takes the longest time. We're just doing all the frame structure and making sure all the pivot points are
nice.
Aligned. Hey guys, it's been a few weeks. Take you back to the shop, give you an update on the HellTaco. So we've got the front clip back from paint. It's all assembled. Hinge points, lights, all wired. Working on the interior, engines in, all the cooling systems in. Drivetrain, drive shaft, we're working on the back bed sides now. Custom fiberglass. So with this all assembled now, give you a little preview. Flip it open.
Dang.
So this will showcase, obviously, the heart of the beast. We've Linexed the underside, the one-piece clip, the chromoly subframe, Baja lights, aluminum skid plates. Working on the front suspension now, getting the shocks all tuned and dialed. Hubs, brakes.
Some plumbing work done here.
Definitely some hard lines to soft lines, back to hard lines. It's been pretty fun.
Wow, this looks killer. Oof.
So we decided to use PRP straps to catch the hood as it flips forward. Gives us enough workable area we can get in and out of here. Mil-spec bolts for the hinge points, everything's solid. Custom 3D printed caps just to finish off the front frame rails. Everything's coming together. Okay, that's enough. That's enough of this. Moving on back.
Oh, so secretive, so secretive.
Coming on back here. So Coming over to the bodywork still, we have these mini fenders where the front hood aligns.
Mini? Did you say mini fenders?
Half fenders, mini fenders, whatever you want. They quite a little bit of a bulge. So they'll get aligned with some magnets. High-powered magnets are gonna lock together.
Magnets.
So it's got
no physical straps.
No straps. Yeah, I didn't want to have any external hardware on this. So there's a high-powered magnet that'll suck this up with a mechanical latch in the middle to actually.
I think that's where we left off last time I was here. You guys were debating on how to do it. And
yeah, how to secure this hood. So mechanical latch in the middle, adjustment bumps on each end, and then a magnet on the half fenders just to keep that aligned.
Looks so wild.
So we've got the roof panel finally finished. It's got all the Bajas with the IRs, lasers, and spots in there. Glass is in. Moving on to the interior in the cab. We've got the dash almost in its final resting spot. A few more panels and vents to do. Engine starts, runs, drives. We'll fire it up, give you a little preview right now. Battery's a little low.
What?
Give you a couple revs for you.
Woo! Oh boy.
That's what a Tacoma is supposed to sound like.
Uh-huh.
So, right in your face mufflers, shooting out the back. Big thanks to Cook's Craft. They supplied the cans coming out here. And
let's kill it.
Yeah, it's a little hard. Level with the fender and just give that crazy appearance of dual blasters. So the interior is mostly together. We were trying to utilize the factory center console with the Hoon handle, Kipitech hydro brake, the Hellcat shifter, and then make it all look, you know, as kind of OE as possible. We've got the Hellcat factory radio. Middle dash bezels are getting cut right now out of billet. Top is all suede wrapped with all the fill panels to hide the cages. Still working on the end caps. And
that's nice, dude.
Finishing up the wiring and
so
all
these are going to be billet, right? Everything.
Yep, these are all billet. It'll house the
like
gauge
this.
cluster. It'll house the passenger side navigation and all the air vents and start buttons.
Sick. The roof is done.
Roof is done. I'll kick that on for you.
Ooh.
So we've got our Rolls-Royce Starlight. I mean, we can't have a luxury pre-runner without some lights in the roof, right? Tying into a half reveal cage so we can see all of that nice artwork in there. Bench sheet is bolted up. It's gonna flip forward.
Oh yeah, that's right. So there was a little, we did a preview.
Yep.
Pop.
Press that button.
Yeah, boom.
And it'll flip forward. Back here is gonna house all of our electronics. Since this has the heart and brains of a Hellcat, this has all the Dodge Chrysler modules, fuel pump modules, wireless entry modules, fuse panels. All that has to be retained in the back. And since we don't have a trunk, came out of a car, it's gonna have to go in the back of the cab. We will have some fill panels to go in here to cover it all up, and some carpet. We're still working on the interior right now, so.
Nice.
It's not dead space back there. We can still utilize some of it.
You gonna put some nice speakers in here?
Speaker comes underneath that hood. That's the best speaker of this car. So working our way to the back here, you can see we've got one of the bedsides on. This is our custom fiberglass mold. This is about 10 inches wider than factory in order to tuck this huge Curry rear end and these big Toyo tires.
So you mentioned this is your bedside. All of the front is all yours as well. That's all, this is a one-off
design. From the front fiberglass to the rear glass, all hand-shaped, hand-molded. We had to make our own custom mold for this. We've got an air vent in the back here, which will direct air, cool the shocks, cool the exhaust, and also feed our oil cooler and transmission cooler, which back here, a little bit more air. So speaking of exhaust, see how high and tight these mufflers sit. We had to do that because of all the travel and suspension and just get it out the back. So we'll probably put a tip coming out here, but we're still working on the rear bumper, getting it tie in to hold the bedside for vertical and lateral stability. Speaking of bedsides, this side is off, so we can walk around on this side to show you a little bit more visible. The exhaust is tucked up high. around the fuel cell. We've got our bumps in place. Shocks are going on. Our brake system's installed. Our e-brake and our standard brake.
So this package just gets tighter and tighter.
We're cramming
so much stuff in here at this point.
Exactly. We've got our big fuel cell. We've got all our fuel pumps hooked up. We got a surge.
You got the final filler neck?
Filler neck's in.
Because you went through a few versions of that to get the right angle.
Yeah. So we 3D printed a metal adapter, a collector to go from the fuel hose into the tank. Center feed, vents, all done. We got a surge pump built in. Going back to all of our cooler systems, which I think we had that installed in the first half of this.
Yeah, I don't remember if we talked about that.
Batteries are in. We're just waiting on our spare tires and the
brake line job is insane. Dual caliper on each axle, and the way they cross over.
Here, let me take this off. It'll be easier to see.
That's nuts, dude.
So yeah, everywhere there's a pivot point, obviously we have to go to a flex line and then back to hard line.
So the bed sides, how are they being held? I see you guys made this. This is one of the newest things. You just finished this today.
Yeah, we're working on this today. So this is actually a dual purpose. It's an exhaust hanger, so it catches that muffler, but it also gives some lateral support to the bedside. Then there's an inner frame that holds this together, and then it ties down into the bumper that we're mocking up right now. So it'll be fastened in a few different spots, up by the cab, up by the rear frame, in the back, so it should be pretty supportive, yeah.
And you guys have a bumper now. That was like the big thing for a long time.
Yeah.
What's happening with the bumper? And
yeah, so
great.
Trying to do a streamline, low pro, but it needs to be removable, and it needs to give some protection to the spare tires, the spare tire tie downs, and also the tail light. So that's what we came up with. Still have some finish welds on it, some trimming, capping, and then off the powder coat.
So 4 points, top one slides in.
Yeah, and then this is a 1/4-inch aluminum panel that serves a few purposes. It protects the back of the tail light from any rock chips. It also finishes it off. And third, it actually ties down into the bumper to give it some vertical support.
Sick, love it.
In the previous video, we had some KMC wheels. For the show, we had to switch it up to my favorite. And anybody that knows me knows we gotta run our Volk TE37s. So getting those on was a little bit of a challenge. Since the inner dish is a lot smaller, we had to have some custom machined lug nuts. And they're pretty trick. I'll show you them over here. Since these original 5/8 lug nuts are so thick, we cannot get a socket on with those wheels. We designed and had custom machined low profile indexing lug nuts with a special key, so we can actually get in there and tighten the wheel down.
Nice. You're going all out. Custom machine. This is sick. This is so nice. And is this your own custom lock design?
Yeah, with the help of Brady Engineering. He helped do all the CNC work, and they're just flawless. We've got all of the shock parts back from anodizing. We decided on this gold. Getting the shocks assembled now. So here's some of the shocks. CJ's still assembling the rest of them right now, but once these are done and installed, it's gonna look pretty trick. Well, that gives you a pretty good idea on where we're at with the HellTaco build. Still have a little bit more work to do. Bedsides fitment, paint, some interior work, get this thing on all fours, shocks tuned, and the next time we'll see you is at SEMA.